So you probably know what a mind map is, and you might even know what a memory palace is, but have you ever heard of a note palace? If you have, please get out of my head because I made up that word and that's what I'm going to be explaining today. So note palace is a combination of two things, and those are mind maps and memory palaces, and it's just an excellent way to understand and break down and really remember just about anything, especially when it's really complex. I'm going to be using the complex technical topic of neural networks to show you that even really difficult topics can be broken down with this method. That being said, if you don't know what a mind map is or a memory palace is, here's a quick recap. So a mind map is a high-level way, visual way to break down a topic and see how things kind of interact and what the relationships are between the different subtopics. A lot of people have their own spin on things, but the thing that's really important about them is that they show the relationships between topics in a visual way. A memory palace is a little bit more involved. It involves visualizing yourself in a physical space, like in your head, and using really unique visual cues to remember stuff. So if I'm trying to remember a list of 10 medications, I imagine a hallway with 10 doors, and behind each of those doors is a unique object that reminds me of that medication. So when I need to recall them, I can imagine myself walking down the hallway and remember all those medications with no issue. This method of a memory palace works remarkably well. People who participate in things like the World Memory Championships do insane tasks like memorize the entire order of a shuffled deck of cards with this method. So a note palace is a combination of these two. Let's go. I'm going to go step by step to show you how to use one of these yourself. So step number one is to get familiar, write stuff out, and get messy. Right now, you don't need to know everything about everything. You just want to know how things kind of connect and interact at a high level. Often I find that writing really brief notes about my understanding about a topic, looking at the table of contents and writing down key terms is really helpful. But there is no one way to do this. It depends on the topic at hand and what works best for you. Step number two would be to create a mind map of this, of your high-level understanding. So here right now, I've also written a summary right next to it for my ease. So after reading through the material, I understood that a neural network can be described briefly as a collection of connected nodes that process data to adjust the strength between nodes in order to optimize a certain output behavior. Cool. Do I know or remember exactly how all of that works? No. So now I know that the things that are important to me to kind of understand is number one, the architecture of a neural network, the different parts, what they kind of look like, how they interact. So that's going to be one subtopic. And that has a bit of linear algebra involved, so I'm just going to write math next to it. I might need a little refresher on that. And then a lot of the information has to do with the training of a neural network. That's where most of the complexity lies. And then lastly, how do I use it, test it, and that sort of thing. So this is not a video about neural networks. I could talk about that for a while, but we're just gonna drill into one subtopic so you get an idea of how to do this for yourself. Otherwise, we would be here for a while. So step two, now you want to create connections on the page and drill deep down into a topic. Right now we're going to go into architecture. So we're going to go ahead and draw a little connection over the word architecture. And I already took notes on architecture, otherwise, again, we'd be here for a long time. So I'm going to just connect those notes. Connect existing note. So now that we've connected it, I'm going to go ahead and click in on it. Cool. So now we are inside of architecture. Now a neural network is comprised of input layer, an input layer, a couple of hidden layers, and an output layer. The hidden layers is what is kind of trained and does all the work, and the output layer is what outputs stuff. I'm going to dive deeper into the input layer so you get an idea of how this works. So tapping on input layer. So for the example that I'm kind of thinking through here as I work through all this information is the example of a computer using a camera to recognizing a handwritten digit. When humans look at digits, we can just recognize them as a 2. But in the world of computers, that digit is recognized in ones and zeros. And in this case, we have a bunch of pixels on a grid that somebody has written a 2 over. So somebody took a pen, it's kind of pixelized, and we can say that is 28 by 28 pixels. And so each one of the pixels has a value that determine how black or white it is. And so in this case, we're looking at these 9 pixels, and you can see the different This cat likes to yell after every poop. He needs to scream. Okay, we're good. So in this case, we're looking at 9 pixels in specific, and if the higher the values are between 0 and 1, the higher the value, the darker the pixel is. And so in this neural network, we're passing each one of those pixels, all 784 of them, into the neural network for it to train. And so that's what an input layer looks like. So here you have number 1, number 2, number 3, all the way to the 784th one. So now I have a good idea of what the inside of an input layer into a neural network looks like. So that was a quick little example of what a node palace looks like and what it can be. I can go back up and I can click on different connections, and it takes me into other information. Everything's just really well organized and easy for me to understand. And if I think of the connections as little doors, it's almost creating this spatial network that allows me to think through, okay, this is the high level thing, and I'm clicking on this, and it's going deeper and deeper and deeper into the topic. It's just very organized and very intuitive for me to understand. You technically do not need to use a device to do this. You can do this on paper, but I think the organization in the long term would just be a nightmare. That being said, me and a friend have been developing this for a while. It's called Palace Notes. We're on the App Store right now, and we have a website. And if you want to support us, you should totally get us for your iPad and start studying with us. Or you could just chat us up. We're always figuring out new ways to help people study better, study more complicated things faster. We hope this helps you tackle a complex thing that you need to figure out, and thank you for listening.